Okay, thank you very much. I would like to bring something back into your mind which was very valuable in the past and has almost been forgotten nowadays. It's the utilization of special stem assortments, namely crooked trees, curved trees, the connection between the stem and the branch, the connection between the branch and the root. And I call it the treasure of the past. And keep in mind, I'm from Austria, so this presentation is for Europe. I don't know if and how special stem utilization, special stem assortments are used in your culture, but it would be interesting to know about it. And the idea was born within a project about historical wood utilization, where we analyze museum objects, and we found that lots of objects are made out of these special stem assortments. Because what you see here, it's more or less the forest we have in Europe nowadays. It's straight tree stems growing in a dense stand. Wood mass is the most driving factor. Because of the ongoing industrialization and the wish for fast processing and standardization, hardly any wood deviating from a straight tree is used anymore. But we have to be aware that certain mechanical properties are not used anymore, and this might lead or has led to a replacement of wood in certain specialized objects. In literature, we still find these crooked trees or these special stem assortments. For example, in the Onomatologia Forestalia in the 18th century, we can read there about crooked trees. They have something excellent which belongs to them, and what straight trees do not have. If you have crooked oak trees or other trees, they can comfortably be used for arches. What makes those crooked assortments so valuable is that every piece has to have its own specific crook. With one word, it's not always a fault if trees are crooked, because many carpentry and wainwright work require this crooked shape. And another statement which I like very much is from a German wood scientist. If we look for basic wood utilization, we realize that the tree can be utilized in the same shape as it was grown in the forest. And now I want to go back into history, because human beings have always used just everything from the forest to make life easier. What you can see here is, for example, using a stem-branch connection for plowing, or just using branches for carrying things. And already in Bronze Age, about 1500 before Christ, wood utilization has been highly developed. This is a work which is done by the Natural History Museum of Vienna and our university together. And archaeologists dig in a salt mine in Hallstatt, and due to the salt, the wooden artifacts are well preserved, and they find a lot of litter where wood is still preserved in a very good manner. And what they find is tool handles, for example, and almost all tool handles have an angle here at about 70 degrees. So people at that time must have either looked very carefully for these angles, or they must have artificially forced the wood to grow in these angles. And another example of Bronze Age is bins. They are found also in the mine, and they are growing. They have a tissue which is very special, because if you cut a tree and the tree is connected to another tree with the roots, then the neighbor tree keeps the cambium alive, and the wood keeps on growing, but the tissue is without any orientation, and it's very strong tissue, resistant to breaking. Now I go on a bit further. It's maybe the most prominent example for special stem assortments, the shipbuilding, mainly in the 18th and 19th century. They used a lot of curved tree stems and crooked timber. Every seaman knew that a pole which is made out of one single tree stem is much stronger and could have the sails out much longer than a pole which is combined. And I've heard from Great Britain that the English Navy, they were allowed to go into every park and every garden and mark just the trees which were suitable for shipbuilding. And I also like this very much. It's from 1804. It's about culture and artificial cultivation and felling of wood for shipbuilding. I don't know how they managed to do this, but there are several usage for shipbuilding. Yeah, but what else can be made out of special stem assortments? I would like to make some groups. The one is stem branch junction, root stem junction, and curved wood. Let's start with curved wood. There's a statement from a Swiss wood scientist who wrote a book about mistakes in wood, and he writes, tree stems deviating from a straight form are less strong, because if you want to cut out straight beams, you will cut fibers. But I say, if you see it the other way around, if you want to have a curved beam and you cut it out of a straight stem, you also cut fibers and lose weight, therefore. And there are some examples in housing. I've studied some pictures, and you often find crooked timber or curved wood here in a framework, or here. Well, I like this very much. And you find it in old drawings. They make evident that crooked timber was used in house building. And you see it also in open-air museums, that they used a lot of curved wood. But it was also used in agriculture, because it's much easier to use a tool handle which is curved than one which is straight. And you find it in hay forks, or in plows, or in carrying devices. And also other further usages. Here you can see a squeezing grapes, or a water duct. The next topic is root stem connections. You find it very often if you look in the forest. And I like this picture. It's a transportation of timber out of the forest, and they were selecting out the pieces which were suitable for skids, for example. And skids are the most common uses for root stem junctions. You find it very often in the museum. And other examples are rainwater gutters, benches, horse collar, of course. And the next topic is branch stem junctions. Yeah, some pictures as you find it in the forest. And just you have to be aware that the stems have not only to bear their dead load, but also the weight of snow and of wind and of roots, so they have to be very strong, and the connection between the branch and the stem has to be very strong, and this is due to the strain distribution, which makes the connection so strong, and which makes the failure not sudden, but the failure appears suddenly. A colleague of mine was doing some work on this topic, and he was trying to reconstruct this brain-stem connection by homogeneous material, and he simply failed. It's not possible to make it with another material. And you can use it for construction. You see it here, for strengthen a beam. You find it here in nature and here in a museum. And it was often used for tool handles. You see here the selection of spruce with the connection between the branch and the stem, and how they worked it out and use it here as a tool handle. And it was used for bearing loads, or for other small objects or bigger objects. Pipes were often made out of branch stem junctions, or walking sticks, spatterer, or standpipe. Yeah, and let's go on to the last topic. It's the branch junction you see also very often. It was either used in construction for drawing well. Here you can see it in the drawing, and also as it still can be found. And you find it very often in agriculture, or for other devices for a grinding unit, for a ladder, for keeping something open. A catapult is a very well-known example for branch junctions, or for a skid for a handle. A rake handle is also very often made out of branch junction. There are just some examples: a braking crane device, a shaker in the middle, a vane, and a door opener. We all found it in museums in Austria. Yeah, and I've one main message. It's important to realize that there is a specific application for every habitus, for every part of a tree, and for every tree species. And that's what we should keep in mind always. Thank you very much.